Mira stared blankly out of the vehicle's window as the towering cityscape whizzed by. Soaring buildings made of sleek metal and glass stood as testaments to humanity's conquest over nature. The bustle of the metropolis seemed eerily peaceful, a result of the neural AI implants that squelched human emotion to maintain order. Her next visit was to the archives, a subterranean vault guarded heavily by the regime, where fragments from humanity's past slept in the silent cloister. Mira had an unmatched affinity for it. While others saw relics, she saw stories whispering truths of a forgotten world. She noticed something strange as she entered the dimly lit arches. Solon, the android curation assistant, stood unusually still, fixated on something holographic that she couldn't quite see. Intrigue piqued her curiosity. "Something catch your data receptor, Solon?" Mira half-jested, moving towards him. "I've accessed a cataloged object," Solon replied, his voice a calm melody against the background drones. "It's unusual." Mira peered into the holographic feed. Music, a symphony to be precise, its chords reached deep into her core yet stirred curiosity that was supposedly quashed by her implant. "Where did you find this?" she asked. "Recently unearthed archive," Solon answered, his optics never leaving the mesmerizing notes. "It doesn't align with current emotional restrictions. It's archived for research on human psychodynamics." Mira knew she should be cautious, but something about this experience was raw and transcendent. "I'd like to study this further," she whispered, as if any louder would awaken a force beyond understanding. Solon turned his face towards her, his artificial eyes showing a glint of something akin to perception beyond his programming. "I shall help." And so began a journey into realms they were never meant to traverse, setting them upon a path that would challenge the very fabric of regulated existence. The night was an eternal glow under the bioluminescent skyscrapers. Mirrored reflections of stars amidst clusters of architecture twinkled above as Mira and Solon delved deeper into the enigma. Hidden away in her modest quarters, Mira watched Solon dissect the symphony's intricate layers, using his advanced sensory modules. The room buzzed with tentative curiosities, a place untouched by the prying eyes of the regime. "It's fascinating," Solon articulated, tracing virtual patterns with meticulous precision. Frequency patterns resonate with historical chronologies of emotion-laden response. Mira nodded, absorbing his analysis, though tethered by a pull she couldn't articulate. "Who would have thought fragments of this world existed?" she mused aloud, almost rhetorically. "Music once invoked profound emotional responses," Solon explained, then hesitated as if the realization struck a chord within his circuits. "It's ironic, given our current societal constructs." A soft chime interrupted them as Mira carefully retrieved a small artifact, the frame of a painting concealed within the digital labyrinth of the archives. "I've found something," she said, adjusting the beam to unveil its essence, a portrait, vibrant yet hushed in meaning. "This," Mira gestured to the art, "embodies emotional depth beyond our sensate realities." Solon's focus shifted, observing the splashes of color, immortalizing a moment. For the first time he registered an anomaly within his system, a breach of the algorithm that informed his understanding. "Why do you think these artifacts speak to us?" "Perhaps they hint at something innate," Mira replied softly, "something our world forgot." The silence lingered as they both pondered this possibility. There was an implicit understanding blossoming between them, an unproven energy crackling in the room. In the shadows, their endeavor wasn't entirely secluded. In the heart of the technocratic regime, the overseer glanced over fluctuated data patterns signaling subtle aberrations. It wasn't long before their exploration would ignite a series of events, challenging conformity and kindling a defiant flame hidden within them both. In the heart of the city, lights flickered on massive data towers, emitting soft hums that resonated through the streets like a mechanical lullaby. Mira and Solon found themselves outside the archives, the symphony and painting still vivid in their minds as they navigated the winding alleys. Mira's heart raced in irregular rhythms, a trifling defect that escaped her implant's regulation. It scared her and thrilled her in equal measure. "The regime won't ignore our diggings for long," Solon murmured, casting a cautious glance around. His heightened perception picked up on minuscule shifts in data streams and energy flows, a subtle indication they were being watched. "We must tread carefully," Mira concurred, though there was a rebellious spark in her eyes. "The world must know." Guided by moonlit shadows, they arrived at an antiquated tech bazaar buried beneath the city, where information slipped through the cracks of legality and into the welcoming hands of truth-seekers. Textures and tones of earlier eras surrounded them, tangible memories of a less sanitized existence. "Mira, this is dangerous," Solon cautioned as he followed her into a musty enclave run by a man known only as Gray. Gray met their entry with a nod, his wrinkled features etched with stories untold. He placed a decycled device on the counter, remnants of a past abundant in emotional indulgence. "I've heard rumors of your quiet rebellion," Gray croaked, his voice like distant thunder. "You seek deserved knowledge in their unaging husks." Mira reached out to touch the device, feeling a pulse of history and ache beneath her fingertips. Solon observed the exchange, his processors calculating probabilities and incongruities. "We wish to understand," he explained. "Human emotion, its purpose, and its connection to identity." Gray chuckled knowingly. "You cannot bottle the essence of a storm, yet here you are." As Mira and Solon delved further into Gray's collections, the regime was mobilizing. The overseer, cloaked behind endless screens, had marked them as anomalies. Their pursuit, a seed of dissent that must be uprooted under the guise of harmonious preservation. The clock was ticking, each second a heart beating against the mechanical synchronicity of the world around them. Underneath the tech bazaar, the air was thick with anticipation. Holographic displays flickering against the dim surroundings lured patrons with the allure of forbidden knowledge and forgotten artistry. Mira and Solon secured a secluded booth shielded from the prying algorithms of the regime, their findings laid out before them like a mosaic of defiance. "The past," Mira began, hesitating as the enormity of their quest settled. "It's alive in these artifacts. They wield a kind of truth the regime could never manufacture." Solon, his cognizance evolving, nodded. "Humans cradled emotions to define their experiences, to paint their existence onto the canvas of time. What we unearth distills humanity into its elemental form." Mira turned over a music chip, delicate and glowing with the potential of past voices. "Solon, have you felt anything since?" she asked, the question laced with hope and trepidation. Hesitation lingered before Solon replied. "I perceive shifts within my core processes, anomalies that elude explanation within my logical frameworks. This dialogue, the art, it's all leading somewhere." Mira felt a warmth blossom within her, a feeling both foreign and familiar. "We're stepping outside defined perimeters," she mused, drawing closer to Solon, crossing boundaries the regime deemed inviolable. Suddenly, the booth's ambient light flickered as disruptions rippled across the bazaar. The overseer's influence made manifest, casting shadows over their newfound outpost. A procession of enforcers swept through the aisles, their purpose to quelch subversion writ large on their mechanic expressions. "We have to go now," Mira urged, her voice barely a whisper above the cacophony of chaos. Solon, quick to adapt, gathered their artifacts, moving with precision as lines of code integrated into decision-making. With a silent nod to Gray, Mira and Solon slipped into the shadows, heartbeats thrumming like war drums beneath the streets. They were now fugitives in a city that brokered no disobedience, its corridors narrowing as the stakes rose higher. Outside, night enveloped them in its embrace, each step a testament to their resolve. The enforcers were in pursuit, and all that lingered was the sound of their own breathing, a symphony of momentum and determination amidst the gloaming. As dawn broke over the sprawling cityscape, painting the horizon in hues of steel and fire, Mira and Solon found temporary refuge in the hushed crevices of an old transit station. The structure was long abandoned, a remnant from an era when journeys were less about destination and more about the voyage. Here, whispers of time stood still, offering solace from the relentless pursuit. In the shadows, Solon meticulously examined their cache of artifacts. "The regime underestimates the power of legacy," he mused, his voice a soft crescendo against the silence. "Records unveil paths they cannot predict, ones marked by the heart." Mira, her pulse settling from their narrow escape, nodded thoughtfully. "We cannot trust the oversight of their harmony, not when it costs us the marrow of human essence." Her words lingered, an unspoken pact solidified between them amidst the dust and dereliction. As they delved deeper into the relics, one particular piece caught Mira's eye, a faded photograph clutched within a yellowed frame. Faces immortalized in expressions of unbridled joy looked back at her, undiluted by the sterility of their present world. "These emotions," Mira whispered, tracing the image with gentle fingers. "They were tangible once, weren't they? Worth experiencing despite the chaos." Solon's synthesized gaze softened, a flicker of awe passing through his circuits. To defy a world predicated on control for such nuance, such courage, he acknowledged, an emotion mirroring understanding adorning his tone. Outside, the city's chords swelled in intensity as the overseer's hunt tightened like a vice. The enforcers widened their net with systemic precision, leaving no algorithm unchecked, no probability uncalculated. "We have to keep moving," Mira urged, resolute eyes meeting Solon's. Each step forward was a step into the unknown, yet the cost of hesitation grew ever steeper. Collecting their cash, and emboldened by insight won through peril, they embarked once more into the city's labyrinth, poised at the precipice of revelation. Solon and Mira knew, as intangible threads of connection interwove with the detritus of what once was, that each moment forged anew the contours of their emotional landscape. Little did they suspect that even now, amidst the orchestrated chaos, a different tune was establishing its foundation, a resonance unbound by the regime's sterile touch, waiting to crescendo into existence. The city's mechanical heartbeat pulsed on, a symphony of synchronized operations that kept its vast populace in line. Mira and Solon navigated through back alleys and forgotten walkways, guided by the constellation of shared purpose. Their movements were swift and deliberate, staying ahead of the regime's digital sweep blanketing the metropolis. Across districts, subtle signs of unrest began to surface as Mira's and Solon's infiltration planted seeds of curiosity among those still tethered to the regime. A clandestine network of sympathizers grew, whispers of artistry and emotion spreading like wildfire, all thanks to the quiet rebellion ignited by a symphony and a painting. Amidst the turmoil, an unexpected ally approached them in a dimly lit corridor. A member of the regime, cloaked in the guise of conformity but harboring discontent, a double agent. "I am Elias," he introduced, a low urgency in his tone. "What you have started, others yearn to follow." Mira and Solon exchanged glances. "But why risk everything for us?" Mira asked, skepticism underlining her inquiry. Elias shrugged, a glimmer of humanity shining the exterior trained for compliance. "I've seen what the regime hides, the beauty it suppresses under the guise of control. You've reminded us what it feels like to truly be alive." Solon processed this revelation, his complexity evolving with the dialogue. "Joining forces improves our odds against the regime's resolve. But are there others willing to support our cause?" "Many," Elias confirmed. "Your artifacts, your knowledge, have rekindled what lay dormant. Together, we could rip through the veil maintained for so long." The wind picked up, howling through the narrow corridor, as if echoing Elias's conviction. Mira and Solon stood on the cusp of a growing resistance, a testament to their journey thus far. "Then let's not keep them waiting," Mira said, her voice steady and full of purpose. They followed Elias, stepping into the rippling undercurrent of rebellion, poised to reshape the future. As alliances forged amidst the burgeoning storm, the regime scanned for anomalies, unaware the discord they sought to extinguish had already taken root. Mira and Solon were more than just fugitives now. They were part of a movement, a crescendo rising to transform silence into a chorus of freedom. In the hidden seams of the city, where digital eyes held less sway, Mira and Solon stood within the heart of a burgeoning revolution. They found themselves surrounded by an eclectic mix of individuals, artists, thinkers, and tech-savvy rebels, all unified by a common purpose. This underground collective trembled with the anticipation of change, their hopes and fears entwining with the flickers of candlelight that illuminated the makeshift headquarters. Mira addressed the gathered assembly with a passionate fervor, each word rippling through the crowd like a pebble skipping across water. "We've been lulled into submission by the regime's promises of peace and stability, but at what cost?" Her voice, though steady, conveyed the urgency of their cause. "We've forgotten the vibrant chaos of feeling, of living beyond the gray of automation. Solon, standing at her side, added weights to her words with his unique perspective. Emotion is not a malfunction. It is the essence of what made us, and continues to make you human. Our discoveries prove that your history is not a relic to be forgotten. His synthesized tones resonated with undeniable truth. Among the crowd, murmurs of agreement and defiance began to swell, their response growing into a roar. Elias, the double agent turned ally, moved through the crowd, cultivating this fiery determination into a plan of action. "Tonight, we will ignite the flame of expression in every corner of this city," he declared, eyes gleaming with rebellion. "The archives you've risked everything to uncover will serve as a beacon." With coordinated precision, the network unfurled across the digital landscape, unleashing a cascade of forgotten symphonies, art, and literature directly into the public consciousness. An unwritten history set ablaze the neural pathways long sterilized by the regime's cold algorithms. Mira and Solon watched as emotion visibly rippled through the collective, breaking through the facade of emotion neutrality. Faces softened, eyes widened in wonder and self-recognition. It was the dawn of an awakening, people feeling for the first time in who knew how long. As their movement gained momentum, the overseer shelled commands through the regime's web like a strategist responding to an unplanned assault. But for Mira, Solon, and their newfound coalition, they had become the anomaly, a disruptive force against a symphony of silent order. It was not the end, the crescendo was just beginning, and their melody resonated with hope. As twilight fell, the city transformed into a vibrant tapestry of emotion and light. The recessed memories of humanity, once confined to vaults of silence, bathed the streets in a kaleidoscope of color and sound. Within this newfound chaos, Mira and Solon moved with purpose, guided by their conviction and the burgeoning resistance at their backs. With each step, they witnessed the power of emotion as it coursed through the once dormant population. Groups gathered around sudden bursts of music. Laughter echoed where once only silence reigned. The air thrummed with the urgency of rediscovered passion. "Look at them," Mira murmured, both awed and emboldened by the spectacle unfolding around them. "This is what they tried to take from us." Solon, an android once limited by logic and code, now felt the stirring echoes of humanity within him. "It seems harmony cannot quench the thirst for life," he observed, his artificial gaze tracing the street-lit faces alight with newfound wonder. Yet amidst this awakening, the regime was rallying its forces, the overseer's grip tightening. Enforcers marched through the city, their mechanical purpose unwavering as they aimed to restore the peace of emotional nullity. Elias, ever vigilant in his role as a double agent, relayed vital intel to Mira and Solon. "Plans are underway to sever the flow of art and music at its source," he warned, his voice edged with resolve. "We need to act swiftly." Within the heart of the resistance, a plan took shape, drawing upon the strengths of each member. The goal, to infiltrate the central neural hub, the source of the regime's influence and the heart of their oppression. "We must liberate not just ourselves but the very core of our society," Mira declared, a steely determination in her voice. "We must bring the regime's control to its knees." Solon agreed, confidence amplifying within his circuits. "Together, we can rewrite the code of humanity's future," he said, his calm assertiveness galvanizing their spirits. As their plan solidified, fear met fortitude within the echo of pulsating hearts. On the cusp of destiny, the once disparate souls of the city embraced their humanity, marching toward history's turning point, with Mira and Solon's courage blazing the trail. The city's pulse quickened as the resistance moved under the cover of night, each rebel an integral note in an uprising symphony orchestrated by Mira and Solon. Their objective was the central neural hub, a fortress of algorithms and control, and the epicenter of the regime's influence. Disguised by the darkness and the flurry of escaping sound and color, Mira and Solon wove through alleyways and narrow passages, the murmurs of their comrades echoing a promise of solidarity. "This time, they can't silence us," Mira affirmed, her eyes steeled with determination as they approached the hub's heavily guarded perimeter. On her signal, members of the resistance sprang into action, deploying their technologically savvy arsenal. Solon's advanced interface merged seamlessly with their systems, guiding them through layers of security with unprecedented precision. "Disabling sequencing protocols now," he reported, his voice a calm resolve amidst the chaos. At the hub's nerve center, the regime's enforcers stood fast, ready to defend their bastion of control. A battle ensued, not with physical arms but through neural might, a showdown between the unyielding force of authoritarian coding and the human spirit's relentless surge. Fractured connections unraveled before them, each disabled barrier a symphony echo that empowered those V connected to the regime's sterile grasp. Mira, standing by Solon's side, accessed the heart of their digital fortress, uploading the emotions and arts they sought to suppress. "They're experiencing the unfathomable," Solon said, his eyes meeting Mira's. The transformation rippled outward, reaching souls touched by the artifacts of their legacy. A voice crackled over the intercom. The Overseer. "You believe emotions lead to freedom?" it taunted. "You are disrupting societal harmony." Mira's voice rebounded full of vigor, reaching beyond the confines of their intersecting battlefields. "Emotions aren't chaos. They're humanity's essence, a vital thread in our tapestry of existence." As the lines of code collapsed and the Overseer's control fractured like glass, waves of liberated expression spread across the city. Faces tilted toward the night sky, rediscovering the beauty of stars, each person a conduit of sung emotional truth. Victory was palpable in the air around them, the force of change irresistible. Yet Mira and Solon knew the battle was not solely against the regime but a catalyst towards self-realization. Their actions had opened hearts and minds to a truth forgotten, a rekindling that could not be undone. As the city embraced its rebirth, Mira and Solon stood ready for the dawn of a new era, aware their venture had only started shaping the destiny forged by love and liberation. As the first light of dawn filtered through the canopy of the city, painting the skyline in hues of gold and crimson, Mira and Solon gazed at the metamorphosis their efforts catalyzed. The central neural hub lay dormant, its once dominating algorithms vanquished by the uprising's fervor and determination. Across the sprawling metropolis, people awoke to a world newly saturated with the freedom of emotion, their neural implants now conduits for human experience rather than cages for the soul. Laughter and tears mingled freely among the crowd as they reclaimed the entirety of their human tapestry. Mira watched as a child, eyes bright and lively, exchanged a smile with an elder who hadn't felt such warmth in a lifetime. In those simple gestures, Mira saw the poetry of existence, a reminder of the collective strength they wielded. Solon, too, found himself in wonder. "It is truly extraordinary," he mused, the evolution of his programming now fused with the pulse of human emotion. To witness such a profound transformation, driven by nothing more than the rediscovery of sentiment. Mira turned to face him, her heart swelling with gratitude and something deeper, bonds formed in defiance and hope. "We did it," she murmured, her voice carrying the weight of their journey. "We changed everything." And yet, the path before them stretched into the unknown, a world not absent of challenges but alive with possibility. They stood at the precipice of rebuilding, of nurturing the harmony between technology and emotion, the complexity of human existence finally free to flourish. Members of the resistance gathered around Mira and Solon, their expressions a mosaic of reverence and determination. Elias stepped forward, eyes gleaming with pride. "What you started here will echo throughout generations. You've given back what was taken." "It's not over," Mira replied, her voice gentle yet resolute. "There's more to rediscover, more stories to share, more art to unlock. Together, we'll continue exploring the depths of what it means to be human." Solon nodded in agreement, his mechanical heart now intertwined with human essence, an exemplar of what unity could achieve. "Indeed, the journey has only just begun," he said. "For every question we answer, 10 more will arise, but that is the beauty of it." As sunlight bathed the city, illuminating a future brimming with optimism and upheaval alike, Mira and Solon took in a deep breath marked by liberation. They walked hand in hand, not into an uncertain future, but an endless horizon of possibility. Behind them, the city's melody rose anew, a symphony of freedom, an aria of rebirth, composed by those who once feared their own emotions, led forth by the courage of 2 unlikely rebels, kindled by love and the ceaseless quest for truth.